Sicilian Mafia, Cosa Nostra. This is the blueprint. The Sicilian Mafia isn't one gang. It's a coalition of family-run criminal corporations called clans, each controlling a specific territory in Sicily. Each clan has a boss, an underboss, and a consigliere who advise, then soldiers below them. Above the clans sits a provincial commission that approves cross-family operations and settles disputes so the system doesn't collapse into gang wars. The system runs on omerta, a code of silence enforced by blood oaths. Break it and you're dead. The mafia doesn't just run illegal rackets like extortion and smuggling. It infiltrates legitimate businesses using restaurants and construction firms as fronts to launder money and gain political influence. When informant Tommaso Buscetta testified in the 1980s, he revealed how families divide territory like franchises, elect bosses on one-year terms, and follow commission rules to avoid conflict. The strength is resilience. Because it's decentralized into clans, you can arrest one boss and the system survives. The downside is visibility. The mafia's reputation for violence draws constant law enforcement attention. Italy's maxi trials in the 1980s and 90s dismantled many clans, but survivors adapted. The Sicilian model proved a criminal organization could function like a government, with rules, hierarchy, and long-term planning. Camorra, Naples. The Camorra proves that organized crime doesn't need central command to survive. This is the mafia of the Campania region around Naples, and it has no boss at the top. It's a loose network of 150 to 200 independent clans, each controlling neighborhoods or small towns. Each clan runs its own operations like a separate business under the same brand. This structure makes the Camorra almost impossible to destroy. Break one clan and the rest keep operating. The clans deal in extortion, drug trafficking, counterfeiting and waste dumping. They infiltrate restaurants, construction companies and waste management firms. The Casalisi and Contini clans are two of the most infamous. The downside is instability. Without a commission to settle disputes, clan wars break out regularly. The Camorra dates back to the 19th century prison gangs. Mussolini tried to crush it in the 1930s, but it came back after World War II. The flexibility that keeps it alive also keeps it chaotic. Ndrangheta, Calabria. This is now the most powerful mafia in the world, and most people have never heard of it. The Ndrangheta comes from Calabria and is built entirely on blood family ties. Clans are formed by actual relatives, bound by honour oaths. Each family maintains autonomy but cooperates on large operations. The Ndrangheta dominates international cocaine trafficking from Latin America into Europe. Italian reports call it the absolute dominant force in the criminal world because it combines strict family loyalty with maximum flexibility. In the 1970s, clans specialised in kidnapping for ransom, then reinvested that money into construction firms and drug logistics. Their estimated profit runs into tens of billions. The family structure makes them nearly impossible to infiltrate. You can't plant an undercover cop in a blood family. They operate cells across Europe, Canada and Australia, all maintaining ties to Calabria. They've partnered with Albanian gangs to control European ports for cocaine smuggling. The Ndrangheta grew quietly while the Sicilian Mafia grabbed headlines, giving them decades to build global networks. Their advantages are trust and diversification. The disadvantage is that success has attracted attention. Hundreds were arrested in 2023 and internal rivalries still erupt into violence. American Mafia, La Cosa Nostra. The American Mafia is the Italian model transplanted to the US, and it's smaller now but still operating. It's organized into families, the most famous being New York's 5 families. Each family has a boss, underboss, capos and soldiers. A commission of bosses historically coordinated activities. Membership was restricted to Italians or Italian Americans, and omertà applied strictly. The American Mafia specializes in racketeering. That means union corruption, illegal gambling, loan sharking, and drug trafficking. The Gambino, Genovese, and Bonanno families are still active. A 2025 Department of Justice indictment charged dozens from these families with running a gambling scam that funneled millions. Historically, the Mafia flourished during Prohibition by monopolizing illegal alcohol, then expanded into vice markets and labor unions. They controlled entire unions and could swing elections. But aggressive federal prosecutions using RICO laws weakened them significantly. The FBI acknowledges the Mafia no longer has the robust national presence it once had, but it remains a significant threat in New York, New England, and Chicago. Their advantage is networking capability. The disadvantage is reduced manpower and constant law enforcement pressure. Russian Mafia, Bratva. Russian organized crime isn't one organization. It's a network of gangs that emerged after the Soviet Union collapsed, often organized under the title Thieves in Law, a criminal rank system from Soviet prisons. The key difference is that some Russian mafia outfits operate with government protection or even work as unofficial extensions of state power. An FBI official noted that Russian groups are uniquely dangerous because they often partner with the Russian government to advance state objectives. This blurs the line between organized crime and statecraft. They engage in extortion, kidnapping, and drug trafficking, but they've also mastered sophisticated financial crimes like counterfeiting and cyber fraud. Semyon Mogilevich built a powerful crime network in Eastern Europe in the 1990s and is wanted by the FBI for racketeering and money laundering. Major gangs include Moscow's Solntsevskaya Bratva, the Tambov gang, and various Chechen and Ukrainian networks. After the USSR fell, they infiltrated banks, businesses, and politics. Their advantages are technical skill, military-trained members, and diaspora channels. The disadvantage is instability. They're less formalized than Italian mafias, with shifting alliances and constant infighting. Japanese Yakuza. The Yakuza are Japan's organized crime syndicates, and they're unique because they operate semi-openly. They have a strict hierarchical structure modeled on feudal clans. Each boss, called an oyabun, has underlings called kobun, bound by loyalty oaths. Some Yakuza offices are plainly marked, and police know where their headquarters are, but tolerate them under certain conditions. Yakuza groups engage in extortion, gambling, drugs, and prostitution. They control businesses like nightclubs, construction firms, and talent agencies. The largest syndicate is the Yamaguchi-gumi, founded around 1915. Yakuza rituals include symbolic finger-cutting as punishment for betrayal. Over time, they've expanded into white-collar crime and even charity work. Their quasi-legal status allowed them to invest in major industries like real estate and stock markets. They've even performed security at state events. But Japan has tightened anti-gang laws in the 21st century, causing Yakuza membership to fall from around 184,000 in the 1960s to roughly 80,000 recently. They're highly structured criminal corporations with one foot in the legitimate world, but increasing legal pressure is shrinking their operations. Chinese triads. Chinese organized crime groups are called triads in Hong Kong and Taiwan, or tongs in overseas communities. They started as secret political societies during anti-Qing movements, then evolved into criminal syndicates. They maintain secret initiation rituals, hand signs, and loyalty codes. Modern triads coordinate across regions like franchise operations. Triads engage in extortion, gambling, loan sharking, drug trafficking, and counterfeiting. They specialize in heroin from Southeast Asia, but have diversified into fentanyl labs and online scams. They launder money through legitimate businesses. Each local chapter, like the 14K or Sun Yi On, controls a specific area but shares rituals with other triads. Tong wars plagued early 20th century US cities as rival groups fought for control. Notable triads include Hong Kong's Big Four. Modern triads move precursor chemicals for methamphetamine and fentanyl to the US and Europe. They're described as principal money launderers for drug cartels worldwide. Recent reports suggest some triad figures collaborate with Chinese Communist Party influence operations. Their advantages are vast ethnic networks across multiple countries. Disadvantages include heavy police suppression inside China and internal fragmentation. Albanian organised crime. Albanian organised crime is a coalition of clans from Albania, Kosovo, and the Albanian diaspora. They're called startups in the drug trade because they entered aggressively and used vertical integration to dominate. They negotiate directly with South American cocaine cartels and undercut competitors by controlling the entire supply chain. Albanian networks specialise in heroin and cocaine trafficking. In the UK and Europe, they rapidly took over street-level drug markets. The Albanians gang in London is the retail arm of these syndicates. Albanian mafiosi are known for extreme violence, using enforcement squads with young members willing to kill. But they're also savvy deal-makers who formed alliances with the Italian Ndrangheta to access European ports. Their advantage is ruthless efficiency and strong family networks. By 2017, they were on track for near-total takeover of the UK cocaine market. The disadvantage is high visibility. Their rapid rise attracted law enforcement and rival mafias. Many Albanian criminals spread west after the Balkan turmoil of the 1990s. Today, they're one of Europe's fastest-growing criminal forces. Israeli organised crime. Israeli organised crime comprises various Jewish and Arab criminal groups based in Israel and among Israeli expatriates. These networks operate regionally and globally, sometimes overlapping with political conflicts. The FBI notes Israeli crime groups for their connections to organisations like Hezbollah and sophistication in money laundering. Israeli mafias are involved in drugs, prostitution, counterfeiting, and diamond trafficking. Israeli criminals have been implicated in drug rings across Europe and Latin America. Because Israel has a large tech economy, some groups engage in cyber fraud and exploit cryptocurrency for laundering. Some elements double as money movers for political purposes. A key advantage is Israel's global linkages. The country's economic connections and immigrant communities provide cover for moving money and contraband. Israeli groups are smaller than Italian mafias or Mexican cartels, and Israel's heavy internal security creates constant pressure. While less publicized, these groups remain potent for international money movement and connections that cross into political networks. Mexican drug cartels. Mexican cartels like Sinaloa and Jalisco New Generation aren't called mafias, but they operate as mafia-like syndicates on a massive scale. The difference is they're militarized. They function like private armies with weapons and budgets that rival small nations. They don't just infiltrate governments, they challenge them directly with force. Cartels run cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine, and marijuana pipelines into the US and beyond. They use extreme violence to enforce control. The Jalisco New Generation cartel openly portrays itself as an armed force, releasing videos of heavily armed members in military formations. They differ from traditional mafias by being quasi-guerrilla organizations. They collect taxes at borders, compete in turf wars, and clash directly with the Mexican military. Cartels' strengths are enormous resources. They have access to cocaine from South America and generate billions in revenue. They can corrupt officials at every level. However, their brutality invites fierce military responses. They also suffer from fragmentation. Splinter cartels emerge constantly, and internal betrayal is common. They operate like multinational drug companies that employ militias. Highly organized with global supply chains, but constantly at war.